Forming formulas and equations is what we're looking at in this video. It's split into 6 parts. So we're first going to start off by looking at the difference between an equation, a formula, and an expression. We're then going to look at identifying terms in an expression, and then identifying what a coefficient is. And then we're going to move on to forming expressions, looking at worded questions like this, and then moving on to forming formula with worded questions, and then forming expressions with examples like this one here, like parameter. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause, and I've got the example on the right, which is you do. So here we've been asked to write down whether the following is an expression, an equation, or a formula. Now with an expression, it has no equal sign. Okay, so it has no equal sign. That's how you know it's an expression. So out of all of these three that we've got, there's only one that has no equal sign. So straight away we know that this is an expression, because it has no equal sign. Now, the difference between an equation and a formula, they both have an equal sign, is that an equation can be solved. Okay, and what I mean by that is, this one here is an equation, and the reason it's an equation is because I can solve this. I can take one away from each side, that means 3x is equal to 9, divide each side by 3, which means x is equal to 3. So because this can be solved, this is an equation. And then finally, that leaves us with this being a formula. Now, a formula is something you have to substitute values into. So here we'll have to substitute to find a b. We're going to need to know what u is, what a is, and what t is. Okay, so hopefully you've pressed pause and had a got the example on the right. So expression, we can start off with the easy one. It's the one with no equal sign. So this one's got no equal sign. So this is going to be an expression. Now, the first one can be solved. I can divide both sides by 4, and that gives me x is equal to 3. So because it can be solved, this is an equation. And finally, with the last one, we can't solve it because we don't know what x is and we don't know what y is. So we can't solve this, and this is a formula. So hopefully that clears up the difference between an expression, an equation, and a formula. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now moving on, we're going to identify terms. So here we've been given two expressions. So if you start off by looking at this expression here, the terms in this expression are 2x and 7. Notice I'm using a comma to separate the terms. Okay, so this expression has 2 terms. This expression has 3 terms. Now being careful here with the negative. So the first term is 3x squared. It's that one there. The second term is minus y. And the last term is minus 5. Okay, so these are the individual terms. They're single parts of an expression. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a good example on the right. So this has 1, 2, 3 terms, and I can write that as minus x squared, comma, 4y, comma, minus z. Now moving on, we're looking at coefficients. So coefficient is just the number in front of the letter. So again, if you focus on this first one here, now to find the coefficient, it's the number in front of the letter. So the coefficient here is 2. There's no coefficient on this bit because it's the number in front of the letter. There's no letter here. If there was a letter here, then we would have 1. So looking at this one here, this has a coefficient of 3. This has a coefficient of minus 1. Okay, it's the number in front of the letter. There's an invisible 1 here. Okay, and it's a negative. And the 5 doesn't have anything because it's not a coefficient. It's not in front of a letter. So again, a number in front of a letter is what coefficient is. So looking at this bit here, a number in front of a letter, so that is the 4. 4 is the coefficient here. Looking at this one, it's the number in front of the letter, so we have an invisible minus 1. Here we have an invisible 1 in front of the y, and here we have an invisible minus 1. So it's always the number in front of the letter. Because there's no letter associated with 11, there's no such thing as coefficient there. So that's what a coefficient is, the number in front of the letter. So moving on to worded questions on forming expressions. So we've been told there's 5 cups in each pack. There are 8 cups in each box. So this box is in packs. Alex buys P packs. So we'll call this, so he's calling this P. And B boxes, so he's calling this B. Write down an expression in terms of P and B for the total number of cups Alex buys. So we know there's 5 cups in each pack, reading the first line. So if he was to buy 2 packs, he would end up with 10 cups. If he was to buy 3 packs, he would end up with 15 because it'll be 5 times 15. So you're just multiplying the number of cups by the number of packs. So this becomes 5p. And it's the same for the boxes. If you was to buy 2 boxes, that would be 8 times 2. If you was to buy 5 boxes, that would be 8 times 5. So we're just multiplying 8 by the number of boxes. So we can just do plus 8b. That is our expression there. So hopefully you've pressed pause and had a quick example on the right. So again, we've got 10 jars. Well, not 10 jars, but we've got 10 sweets in a jar. We've got 4 sweets in a pack. So that would be P, that they've called J. And then we can just have 10J plus 4P. Because we know Ben buys J jars and P packets of sweets, but we don't know what J or P is. We don't know how many he's bought, but we would just substitute them into there. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And moving on, forming formulae. So this is the exact same as what we did earlier, but this time they want us to write down a formula for T. Now, to write a formula for T, remember, if a formula has an equal sign, so we have T, which is the total, is equal to, so that is P for pack and B for box. So it will be 5P, so 5 packets plus 8. Well, not 5 times P and then 8 times B. So that is what the formula would look like for the total number of cups. And again, with the sweet jar, it'll be the same because it's now asking for a formula. The formula has an equal sign, so it'll be T is J plus 4P for the packets and jars. Now moving on, write an expression for the perimeter. So the perimeter is just all the sides added together. So it's a rectangle, so we know that this side and this side are going to be the same, and this side and this side are going to be the same. So that would become, so this would also be 3 plus 4x, and this would be x plus 2. So if I add them sides together, so if I add this and this, I end up with 2x plus 4. And if I then add this and this, I end up with 6 plus 8x. And then finally, if I add them two together, that'll be 10 plus 10x. That would be my final answer. And hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go on the right. So you're just adding all of that together. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6x. And then you've got minus 5 plus 7, which becomes 2. So that is your final answer there for the expression. Now, if you would like some more practice, I've got a full worksheet linked down in the comments below.